This time I will call the November meeting of the MSD of North Pleasant School Board to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Slagle, if you will read our vision, mission, core beliefs, and high priorities, please.
Absolutely. At North Posey, our vision, we inspire all students to achieve their potential for learning in life in a safe and supportive environment. Our mission, we partner with our community to create a dynamic and innovative educational experience, empowering students to become educated, productive, and responsible citizens. Core beliefs. We believe our community is vital to our educational success. Everyone is valued and treated with respect and always telling the truth. An educational opportunity for all. Student-centered programs challenging and inspiring learning in the pursuit of excellence through a strong sense of pride. And our high priorities, enhancing the student experience, investing in our administrators and staff, fostering strong relationships among all, and maximizing our resources.
Thank you. We're on to good news.
Well, President Oakley, we have a lot of good news this evening. First, we'll start off with our elementary principals and some teachers and our academic coach.
Okay, sorry.
Well, no, it's the glare on the,
Where's Waldo?
am on, yeah.
Right here.
Okay. Over here, 'cause I can't see. I can't see the names. You can see someone else.
Yeah, can I, is it touchscreen?
Yep.
Need an umbrella.
Blame the IT. Sorry.
How about the slowness of the door? Is that Mary?
The suspense is killing.
Yeah.
Just wait for it, wait for it.
We got the little circle.
We were waiting for Lindsay.
He's very short.
Hopefully that's not gonna make
That's not going to. This is great news.
it. Drum roll. Music. Like in my computer.
By the way, we have not had a chance yet to meet our academic coach, if you'd like to introduce.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is Erin Deal.
Hi.
She's our academic coach, new to us this year, and she is shared between both elementary buildings. She is at South Terrace on Mondays and Wednesdays and every other Friday.
Yep, and I have her Tuesdays and Thursdays.
May I try my computer?
It's coming.
Let's get there.
Probably being slow.
Windows 98.
Dial up.
Who invited you?
Oh, here we go. Yeah, here it is.
Okay, this is Spence you've been waiting for. So anything that we do, whether it's with kids, our staff, new programs, it's always data-driven instruction. So Aaron and Aaron are gonna talk us through what kind of data we use and collect to drive our instruction. So not just data-driven, but also not instruction, sorry, but also any decision-making. So whether that's adopting new textbooks or interventions, it all is driven from data.
Okay, so previously, I don't know if you guys are familiar, we used to call it RTI in the buildings, and we had teams that were developed, and we would respond to our students with intervention. Now we have a multi-tiered system of support, and what we do is we focus on their needs, whether it's through academics or behavior support. And we respond to those needs, and we look at each child and what they need, and it's all driven through data. The process is extremely detailed. And every child is focused on, in this process that has, in the last year, I can tell you, has become almost like very, as intricate as it possibly can be with the help of Erin. And we're going to show you exactly how that has worked. So, go ahead.
Okay, that's me, the academic coach. Isn't she cute? Thank you. I grew my hair out for this tonight, but my role is to help strengthen the academic supports within the MTSS system. And I'm excited to be here tonight to talk about all the work that the teachers are doing and the students are doing at both the elementary schools. So there are 4 steps to this implementation process. The first is screening students, and this is where we really look at, are we meeting the needs of all the students? Step 2 is responding to that. So if we're not meeting the needs of all the students, the teachers are going to adjust their core instruction or provide interventions for students. Then we move to step 3, which is monitor. That's where we evaluate the work that was done within those programs. So by adjusting that core instruction, we're looking at the interventions. Is it working, what we're doing, what we changed, or is it not working? Finally, it's to improve. And that's where we just kind of step back and reflect. You know, how did this go? Do we need to make additional changes for the next screening process? So those are the 4 steps that I'm going to walk you through tonight with different groups of students. But first, I want to talk to you about some of the different progress monitoring tools and screener tools that we use here in this district. Okay, so the top 2 are the ones that you all have bought for the district, and we very much appreciate both of these and use them quite frequently. So the first one is iReady, and that's the tool that we use the most frequently. It's used for benchmark assessments. So 3 times a year, all students are screened using iReady to determine how are they performing nationally compared to other like peers. We also use it to progress monitor students. So students within iReady, all of them have their own individualized learning path that they're on. There are formative assessments within iReady that teachers can give students to check to see if they're mastering the skills and the standards. And finally, there are lessons that teachers can use that are already built within iReady. So if I know that a student is struggling, there's going to be a lesson within iReady that I can use for small groups with students. So it's an amazing resource. We also have AimsWeb. That's used for a select group of students. So students that we've identified need additional support services, like actual interventions, or if they are receiving special education services, we use AimsWeb as a progress monitoring tool to see if they are making progress towards these national norms for students, okay? The bottom 2, these are pushed out by the state. So for K2, it's a state law that we give the dyslexia screener to all K2 students, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then this year, we've chosen to pilot the iLearn checkpoint assessment, and that's for grades 3 through 6, and that's given 3 times a year so that we have data prior to getting to iLearn in the spring. We have these smaller points along the way to see, are we reaching the goals that we need to get to? Any questions about the tools that we're using?
Are these through K through 6, or they're all K through 6? Okay.
Not all of them. So
The dyslexia.
the dyslexia is K2, correct, and iLearn is 3-6, but the other 2 are for all students, correct. Okay. All right, so I want to walk you through those steps for groups of students, and I want to first start with all students and how we use them. Okay, so when we're talking about K through 6 students in both elementary schools, in the fall, all students take the iReady benchmark assessment. We get the assessment data for both reading and for math, and we can see how are students performing And how does that compare nationally to other students? So are they below average? Are they well below? Are they above, or are they far above? Once we get that information, we go to step 2, where teachers are responding to that initial data. So they're looking at, do we need to remediate? Are they below where they need to be and we need to do additional instruction? Or are they ahead of where they should be and we need to provide more enrichment opportunities for them? Typically that's done during the response to intervention time that's built into the school day. Monitoring can be done in lots of different ways. So once teachers are remediating, or if a student is in an intervention, then there are tools within iReady that they can use to monitor. They have standards mastery checks, they have skills checks that they can do. Some teachers are just using their own formative assessments that they have in the classroom, and we can also use iLearn checkpoints to do that as well. And then finally, during the team time that they have, they can collaborate together to discuss how they can continue to improve the learning outcomes of students. Okay. So that's kind of walking you through the process for what that looks like for all students. On the next slide, we have actual teacher data and how kind of those steps come to life within the data. So at the top, you can see that's a grade 4 comparison data. And really what you're looking at there is we have how students performed in 3rd grade on the iLearn assessment that's given in the spring, okay?
And they're currently 4th graders.
Currently 4th grade, but we want that historical data. We want to know, how did they do at the end of that last school year?
That's what would be given to like a 4th grade team of teachers.
Okay. Then in the fall, that same group of students took the iReady benchmark assessment, and this data is all for ELA. And it's telling us, I can see at the very top, there was a student that was at proficiency on the 3rd grade iLearn. They are earlier on grade level for fall iReady, okay? As I move across, the iLearn checkpoint, which we also gave in the fall, it was after the benchmark, that student is at proficiency. And I think what you want to notice here are the color bands. And so as you're moving across, what you want to see is more blue and green color showing up. Green is at proficiency and blue is above. So moving students out of the yellow and red and into those green and blue bands is what we're hoping for. And you can see in this classroom, this snapshot, there's more students moving into higher bands than falling back. And this is just a great way that teachers can keep track of how kids are doing.
And this is on the left would be each student's name and what each
Correct.
specific student is doing.
Correct. Yes.
And the state doesn't provide that data for us. Erin put that together for our teams. Okay, so that would be something that she did for the staff. The teachers can't get that. They don't have time to put that together unless they go dig for the data and spend time aligning all of that. They would have to go back to 3rd grade, find in their files where all those were, line up the color bands, you know.
It's
I have
fun
teachers
though,
here.
I love, yeah.
So she puts it together in this nice little spreadsheet, allows them to see the pictures of students. Okay, keep going. I know.
Okay, I know.
I just want to spell that out for you.
Right.
That's what she did.
Yes.
Okay, so that makes it easy for a teacher to see, like, look at what they're looking at then. And then they can see the picture of student progress or lack
The
thereof.
one that's white in the fall iReady, was that student absent that day? Why is there no information?
Could have been a couple of reasons, and I can go back and look. Could have been absent and missed the end. Could have been at the time that we pulled it, I hadn't dropped that piece of data in because they were absent and hadn't pulled it in. Yeah, there could have been a variety of reasons.
And we've got this data for ELA, science, math.
We have it for ELA and math. We don't do all of the checkpoints or benchmark assessments for science.
Okay.
There's not as much assessments that we're using for that. But for ELA and math, yes, we have that. Okay. And then we'll continue to add columns as we get more. So we'll be doing the winter iReady assessment. Then we'll be doing checkpoint 2 for iLearn, and we'll continue following those students to figure out where we need to intervene. Okay. Bottom left, this is an example of a first grade classroom. And so where it's 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, those are all assessments that are linked in. I didn't create those assessments. Teachers did all of that work over the past couple of years, but this is what they call the continuum. And so as students are tested on the skills, they are marking whether or not they are proficient at that skill or not. So again, another way to track mastery of skills. On the far right, this is an example of a 6th grade math class. And again, all the students' names would be on the left. I just pulled them off for the sake of the presentation. And those are all math standards. And so you can see if students have mastered or if they haven't, and teachers are then using that to respond. So I can speak specifically to this classroom where you see if there's no's here for 6 in S5, that team has taken all of those kids that were not proficient, and they have used tools within iReady and within other resources that they have to then provide interventions on that and then reassess them again, and they'll continue to do that. So it's providing great data for them. Okay, let's move on to another group of students. So this is, we're going to look specifically, that was all students. We're moving to just K2, okay? So when we look at K2, all students, they're required by state law to take the dyslexia screener. We do that, it was probably early September, I believe, that we started screening students. And that was the universal screener. And we're looking for characteristics of dyslexia. We're not saying they're dyslexic, we're just saying, do they have these indicators or characteristics? When we got the data back and we said, okay, this number of students were showing characteristics, immediately all of those kids were put into an intervention. Okay, extra time working on reading and working on skills outside of their core instruction time. So that's how we responded to that. To monitor that for step 3, those students would be those kind of that select group of kids that would be within AIMSweb, and we would do weekly progress monitoring on them so that we would have real data to say, is this working or is this not working? And then 4, we would come together as our MTSS team to talk about the students, what's happening, are they making progress, and if not, what are we going to do for the next time that we screen? Okay, that's K2. And here's data to show what that looks like. So when we did the universal data, you can see that about 7% were at risk, about 14% were some risk, and about 80% no risk. For level 1 dyslexia screener, which occurred about 6 weeks later, so students had about 5 to 6 weeks of extra intervention, extra instruction, you can see how we decreased the number of students that were at risk. Okay, so again, it's a way that teachers, staff are responding to the data. And finally, I'm going to look at 3-6 students at risk. So when we think about 3rd and up, for 4th, 5th, and 6th, we can look at the year before. We can look at the ILEARN data, right? To find out, were they below proficiency? How did they perform? For 3rd grade, we really haven't had anything to look behind to unless we had the dyslexia screener information, or at South Terrace, they did the pilot for students taking iRead in 2nd grade. This school year, all 2nd grade students in Indiana have to take the iRead assessment, okay? But for this example, we did have the 2nd grade data from iRead to find out if kids were at risk going into 3rd grade. We also had the iReady benchmark assessment to give us information. When we got that data, teachers responded by either providing remediation or interventions. Again, we monitored those students through AIMSweb, collecting weekly data to see if they were moving. And finally, coming back to that MTSS team to look at, again, reflecting upon the whole process. What are we doing right? Where are we missing the boat? Do we need to change the intervention? Whatnot. And then I wanted to bring it down to the student level for you. So as an example of that, So this is a third grade student who on the iReady benchmark assessment was red. So you can see this was an iReady data piece for us. We can see that they're red. A third grade student was performing at about grade 1. Okay, so that teacher immediately knew, hey, things are not going great for the student. We've got to get some things in place. Started doing daily interventions with the student. We started progress monitoring the student every week. What you can see here, this is from Ames Web, and these are our weekly progress monitoring points along the way. And I'll kind of describe what that looks like or what that means. So the red dotted line at the bottom, can you see that back there? Okay, that would be at the 10th percentile. That would not be good, okay? The green line going across would be the 50th percentile. So we were progress monitoring this student who was in 3rd grade at a 2nd grade level because they were struggling so much. We couldn't stay at that 3rd grade probe even to monitor. So we dropped down to a 2nd grade level. We were doing an oral reading fluency, and what that means is we give a passage to a student. They have 1 minute, and we see how many words can they read in 1 minute. Okay, so in August, the student was reading 26 words a minute. Okay, that was 10th percentile at the 2nd grade level. Now, this was in the end of October. You can see that they were already at the 50th percentile for 2nd grade. So lots of things to celebrate, lots of great progress. At that time, the MTSS team came back together and said, hey, this student is making so much growth. We're going to bump them to a 3rd grade passage now. And I just monitored that student today again and continues to show growth. Very, very exciting. So I wanted you to see this at the student level as well. So that's how our MTSS system and the steps that we're using data to drive instruction, occurs for all students for K2 and for 3-6. Do you all have any questions for me? I know that was exhilarating. I know that was fun. I love talking about data, so I can stay here all night.
I love spreadsheets and I love data.
Okay.
You list the MTSS teams at the grade level and you principal or?
So it varies depending on the school, but pretty much the same. It's the principal, counselor, myself, special ed is typically there, a teacher. If there's additional support staff, you have a couple of additional folks that come along.
Yeah, Mrs. Teeple.
Yes, they're there. And so, but then I'm kind of the liaison between the two. So things that happen at that MTSS meeting, I go back during team time and I can talk to teachers about different things that are occurring.
Are these results shared with parents and
At the right time.
at the right time?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
We also have some input from staff, if you are ready to hear that right now. Okay.
I think everybody here knows me.
You didn't say Donna, you just said Simon.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, my phone. What is the initial response of a veteran teacher when a new hire is the academic coach? Why? Why do we need to spend money on someone to come in and tell us what to do and how to do it? I dreaded having whoever this person was in my team planning, someone who in my mind would distract us from our weekly goals. The first week of school,
I remember.
the 6th grade team, in true Donna fashion, I decided to give her a job. The first week of school, the 6th grade team needed a standards mastery type for the new iLearn checkpoints so that we could plan effectively. Who would be a better person to ensure we had it correct and that it was in the shared drive for all of us to access? The new academic coach. This was her chance to prove her worth. I figured it would be a few weeks before she would get the job done. I kid you not. We were sent this beautifully laid out document within the day. I couldn't have done it better, and she saved us many hours of work. Right then, I decided to give Erin Dill a chance to see if she could bring something to the North Posey team to see if she was going to be a positive part of the South Terrace family. Erin quickly won my respect. She has helped us in countless ways. I love that our team no longer has to take data from the previous years I learned, from the iReady benchmarks, and from the new checkpoints, sort through it ourselves. We now depend on Erin to sort it for us, type it in a document, and get it into the shared drive for all of us to use. Erin's very organized documents enable our team to quickly see our strengths and our weaknesses, which helps us when we are planning our interventions. This has saved us countless hours. I love that I can email her and tell her, which I do, that I want to use a Kagan strategy the next week in class, ask her to model it, discuss the advantages and key management tips so that when we use it, the sixth grade team is successful. Her guidance has helped us to master a few of those strategies. I love that I can send her a list of curriculum questions and ask her to think about them so we can hit the ground running during our team plan. She always has what we need from the IOD website exactly when we need it. I'm so thankful for her expertise in navigating the IOD website. What would take me several, maybe 20 minutes, she accesses within a minute. And above it all, I love that she listens. She doesn't come with her own agenda. She asks what we need and then supports our expertise. She may suggest that we look at this piece of data to help us use it to drive our interventions, or she might say, have you considered this when we are planning for a specific topic? But she never comes with her own agenda. She is perfect at supporting our ideas. I look forward to the days when Erin will be in team planning. It feels right to have another set of eyes. I hear you have a comment. I look forward to the days when Erin will be in team planning. It feels right to have another set of eyes and ears on the decisions that we're making for our curriculum and for our students. It feels good to have someone in the trenches with us and confirm that we are on the right track. I reached out to my colleagues and they describe her as positive, productive, supportive, and resourceful. They love how quick Erin is to jump in and find their resources they need to serve their students, and how wonderful it is that she has taken some of the burden off of their shoulders. Our primary staff members have appreciated the training Erin provided for the two new intervention programs called Lexia and UFly. And above all these qualities, the one word I heard that stuck out the most is she's compassionate. She genuinely cares for both the needs of the students and of our teachers. I love that Erin has become a core member of our planning team. I'm so grateful she is part of the North Posey family. Erin is a person I never knew I needed. I am thankful for her every single day. I feel I can safely speak for the rest of the South Terrace family. We are so thankful Erin is part of our North Posey family.
So, well, I find it really funny because I didn't know what Donna was gonna say, but mine starts way different than hers. Because I was super excited that we were getting an academic coach and like couldn't wait. When I heard the district was hiring an academic coach, I was giddy, okay? Because I love like feedback. I love just ways to improve myself and my teaching. So I couldn't wait to have an academic coach. So I think that was so funny. So what I said was I was super excited this summer when I heard our district was hiring an academic coach. I love the idea that teachers would have someone to help enrich lessons, assist with data, which happens to be one of my love languages. I told Erin, so we clicked immediately. She speaks my language, and collaborate with. Before meeting Erin, I had heard from some of my EVSC friends that we were getting the best of the best and that Erin was born to coach teachers. And I can tell you they were not wrong. Erin has become an invaluable part of our team. As our academic coach, she meets with each of our grade levels during team time. She offers her expertise and her unwavering support to us. She helps us organize our data as you watched that one document. Like if you could see mine, I should have brought it to show you because it's got highlighter and chicken scratches, and she gave that to us. We get the data back, or we get the results back. And I would say by the end of the day, she has those sent to us. So it's just amazing how she does it so quickly. And then she also shares thoughtful advice that strengthens our teaching and helps us to support our students. Now, specific to fourth grade, Erin has already this year created reading assessments for us, helped us break down standards. She's provided us with fluency checkpoint guidelines. She's helped assess some of our students, especially with the keys to literacy with science of reading. I have a couple of my struggling students, and I asked her about an assessment. Within a day, she pulled them, she tested them for me, and gave me the results back and helped me analyze the results. So she helps us organize our iLearn and iReady data, and I put it in parentheses quickly. And more importantly, she gives us encouragement when we're feeling down or defeated. She's always quick to say, "Okay, ladies, what can I do?" And we're quick to give her something. So I also love the accountability that is added by having an academic coach. Personally, Erin has been instrumental in helping me grow as a teacher. Within the first 2 weeks, I went to Megan and I said, "Erin has already helped me be a better teacher this year, and she's just helped me grow already within a couple of weeks. And I know I'm not alone in feeling grateful for her support." The past few years, education has taken on many changes due to technology, due to research, and social emotional needs. Many teachers have felt the strain of keeping up with everything. Having Erin to collaborate with during team time has allowed us to grow and use our time more wisely. When we have a question or concern, she is right there to give us an answer. And if she doesn't have the answer, she looks into it for us and gets back to us right away. She recently did a webinar with the Department of Education, and within days of the webinar, we all received exemplars for the performance task portion of the iLearn. Exemplars are like examples of student work and what the state of Indiana is looking for on iLearn. Like, what do they want? What would they grade this? What grade would they give it? We had those, she had them organized, analyzed, given to us, and sent in a drive so that we can, help guide our instruction. Erin has quickly wiggled her way into our hearts, and we are so happy that she has decided to join our North Posey family. So thank you, Erin.
Carter, you're up.
Before that, I'd like to comment, I have been in education forever. I'm 111 years old. Over 100 of them or whatever, but I have seen so many programs and so many things come in, and looking for things to really help and to do something. And a lot of them I might not have been involved with directly, but nothing ever seemed to be anything that it was made out to be. I thank Mr. Slagle for making this happen last year. And when he said something, I thought, yeah, academic coach, okay. But from what I see here, this is the best I've ever seen in that 111 years.
Having a full-time
I need
teacher.
to intervention somewhere. I'm not counting right.
Having a full-time gym teacher has allowed us to have common plan time, which wasn't happening last year, and it's been awesome. Just for teachers to be able to have some time to collaborate with one another, look at the data. I mean, before, I don't know that that was happening because we weren't providing them time to look at it. So it's been pretty powerful.
It looks almost unbelievable to me, like something on another dimension. I'm really impressed.
Awesome.
All right, I told you there's lots of good news tonight. So with that, Deputy Carter has been writing grants and stuff like that to try to help our junior high and high school kids make good decisions.
Sure haven't.
And now he comes with a flyer this evening for us.
Yes. So I don't know about the whole grant thing. You're going to have to fill me in on that. But I presented you with a flyer. So we go every year to School Specialist Safety Academy, and we are filled with information for 2 days. And we come back, and I've went 3 times now since I've been with the MSD, and I think, how can we use this information? And so at the high school level, Amy and I have come up with a safety series that we are going to start offering our parents, because the information that we're receiving is a little troublesome, but unfortunately it's not staying to the big cities anymore. The dangers are coming very close to home. And what I have dealt with in the last 3 years with the school system, greatly seem to be the common factor is that parents just don't know what the dangers are anymore. We're dealing with parents that are now going through the first time with social media, and they're trying to raise kids and teach them responsibility of social media. That's not going to work, not without at least some education and some tools in their toolbox. So this is just an example. We don't have the dates set in stone just yet. We have a guest speaker that we're looking to come in who teaches on current drug trends and what the government allows in our gas stations and in our smoke shops that we think are illegal, but because the law is set where it is, they're not. They might be illegal per age, but that doesn't mean that we're not seeing it come into our schools. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, we are seeing illegal substances come into our schools. So this is something that we want to stay ahead of. And I think that the only logical thing to do is to tackle this from a community standpoint, because we only have them for a portion of the day. Hopefully we can collaborate with our parents, get them the information that they need, and hopefully see an impactful, positive change.
All right, any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I've asked a couple of our coaches to join us. We're trying to do some recaps for the fall season. Didn't want to bring them all at one time. So, gentlemen?
Brian, you want to go ahead or you want to?
You go for it, sir.
Okay. I have just a season recap for the Boys to This program if you want to take one and pass it around. But had another great season. Went back to back sectional champs, which is a really big deal. Little thank you. A little icing on the cake because it was over Modern Day both years. But they're by far our biggest rival in boys tennis, and we took it to them the last 2 years. I've coached over 250 matches, and I've never seen two teams show up and play a match like I did last year, even more so this year. We came to win, and we took care of business, and it was great to see. You know, we have a lot of community members there, parents, and just seeing the students, students and athletes perform like that was incredible. I was really proud for what we saw that day. Didn't go too well at the regionals, but that's okay. We, like I said, took care of business. We had 14 wins. That was the most I've had since I've coached at North Posey. I've had, I think, 14 teams I've coached now for the high school, boys and girls. And up and down the lineup, this is by far the most talent that I had as a coach. So I made it a little easier for me as a coach to get that many wins. But, they just produced, of the 22 matches we played, we were only swept 5-0 3 times. Again, which is a first. I've not seen that before. Just every night we played, we competed. And it was really good to see. Yep, they definitely made everybody proud of the community, that's for sure. And you probably saw a lot of my Facebook posts. I made sure everybody knew what was going on. So
Appreciate that.
Yes.
I can't sit and be quiet. I saw my first North Posey tennis match this year.
Yeah, you were there, yeah.
Yeah,
Blair.
11 years.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable to watch it and to watch it beating Modern Day.
Yeah, it was definitely special. It was, it was a lot different from last season because, as the matches are going on, I have to go around and walk and see and who's doing well, who's doing here. Last year it came down to one match. Noah Bolligman was the match that we had to win it. So everybody was kind of watching him. Well, this year we were beating them so bad they were falling pretty quick, and so I didn't even have time to comprehend what was going on. By the time we had 2 points, I got down to watch one doubles. They won that game and we won it. So it was, and having a kid on the team too, that makes it extra special. So that's always has been one of my goals. I tell people that, my goal is for every one of my own kids to win at least one sectional. So my oldest is 1-2. So now I'm going to work with my daughter, help Coach White out on the girls' side. She's going to be a freshman this season. Then I've got 2 more boys. So I told Coach Shank I'm in for at least 7-8 more years. As long as you'll have me, I'm gonna keep going. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I guess my turn.
Soccer program this past year. It's had some improvements over the last few years. One of the good things is we built some shelters for the over our stand, or not over our stands, but over our own bleachers. And it was done by the construction class, which I thought was really good because they came out, they got concrete donated. Currently right now they're painting it, so it should be done here very soon with 100% of it, where it'll be sealed and everything. It's gonna be red and black. It's gonna match the school is what they're designing it to do. We got the turf goals assembled this year. We even actually had 2 turf games, which was really cool. Parents love those.
That was awesome.
And the seniors really appreciate it because it just makes pictures nicer. It just made the field. It was really cool to see that. Had a lot of parents saying they never thought they'd ever see a soccer game go on the football field. So that was a huge success right there. Got to really thank Marty Gray because we were missing a whole bunch of pieces, and Marty Gray is one of my assistant coaches. And he was able to do his little tool stuff and fix it and make it work because we were missing half the part. So he's like sending me to Home Depot as he's designing it and re-drilling holes. And he was a huge success getting those, or huge help getting those things done. Kind of individual things. We had Henry Martin, who is second team All PAC. We had 2 of our seniors become academic All State. Keegan Merritt and Tate got academic All State. Our soccer program has changed over the last few years. Last year's seniors, when they were seniors, won more games as their senior year than they did their first 3 seasons. This senior class did the exact same thing. They won more games their senior season than they did the previous 3 seasons. They won 4 last year, and this year they ended up winning 7 games. So it's going the right direction, I think. We're one of the very few programs in PAC that actually has a JV. Heritage Hills has a JV. Southridge and Washington. We are able to have a JV too finally. We have a lot of kids coming out for soccer, which is a great thing. That problem is we have 7 seniors and only like 3 8th graders. So hopefully they can keep it up. I mean, having a JV program has been huge and giving these little kids some more reps. We were pretty much in every single game this year besides one, and that was Heritage Hills, but they won PAC, went undefeated this year, and lost, I think, to Memorial at sectional championship. They were a really good team. Went and the sectional game was not the way I thought it would work out. Lost in sudden death. It was so sudden death overtime that the officials didn't even know how the rules went anymore. Because they know you go 2 7-minute halves and they know you go your 5 kickers. They didn't know how it worked after the 5 kickers were still tied. So we had to go to the 6th kicker. And then it was still tied. Then we had to go to the 7th kicker, and it's still, so they had to go, and the officials didn't know. They kept telling us wrong, so we kept having to arrange our lineup and everything. So it was a great game. The sad part is, just didn't pull it out. But I mean, the kids, the thing that I enjoyed about it the last 2 seasons, because like I said, I was a football player. Fisher asked me to coach soccer, and I thought he was crazy because I looked at him and go, Sean, we played football together. I didn't coach soccer, but seeing how these kids really took it, and I remember when I started, they'd lose. They were used to, I'd say, losing. And when they lost, they would just get their bags and walk away. Well, now, by the end of the season, man, they hated losing. They did not like to lose. And I really saw that passion, and it's in the freshmen. It's in the sophomores now. It's in the juniors. They do not want to lose. We have a lot more kids that now playing travel soccer, which, again, it's more reps, more touches on the ball. So that's a huge aspect. I think it's going to continue growing our soccer program. So got a lot of young kids that are really, really talented. So. All right.
That's our good news.
That's a lot of good news.
Good job.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
We are on to patrons' concerns, and we have no one signed up for patrons' concerns, so we will move on to our minutes, claim docket, and consent items.
All right. So we have minutes of our, refusing to get sick. Our minutes of our previous meeting from October 14th. Our claim docket for the period of October 14th through November 11th. We have the following resignations and retirements. Jeff Pugh from North Elementary. We have Charlene Maxim, our art teacher from North Rosie Junior High. Did we have one that need to add to that?
No, you had it.
Yeah. The following leave day request is from Michelle Paris with her FMLA beginning September 16th through May 23rd. And Bernie Gable going from December 16th through February 7th. Barry Wilson, leave time October 20th through November 6th. I'm sorry, that's gonna be next school year. He's, I wanna make sure he gets that time. Yeah, the following hiring and transfer request. Jeannie Whitehead, hire at North Elementary Cafeteria. James Burrow, Alec Freeman, Colton Gamblin, Levi Miller, Jacob Maliff, Jeff Will, and Jeremy Will, volunteering wrestling coaches for at the high school. We have the overnight trips coming up. Terry Schmidt, Mike McMunn, Stephanie Cox to take 14 students to compete in state Spell Bowl state finals November 15th and 16th at Purdue. Victoria Schaefer to approximately take 12 kids from a choir to a live musical in Louisville, Kentucky on December 7th. Mark Kirkman and Beth McCutcheon and Heather Moreland to take approximately 30 students to We the People up in Indianapolis on December 10th and 11th. And then Victoria Schaefer to take approximately 30 students to choir students to on December 12th to WEHT, WTV, W Studios in Henderson to do a performance there for the Christmas show. And then we have the following renewals. Reappoint Linda Rising to the Poseyville Carnegie Public Library for a 4-year term beginning November 1st. And we do have another resignation not listed there with Erin Kester from her principal position at South Terrace.
When is that one effective?
December 20th.
Looking for a motion to approve the consent items as presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent items.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on these? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 4. And we are to Dr. Golden.
Okay, first up, we have the kind of final process in this big adventure. So we've moved to Neola policies, is to take a look at our current, our old policy handbook that we had and make sure that all of the policies that the board had created and approved at one point in time were still relevant in the Neola policy handbooks. And so I did, I sent you all what I call a crosswalk just to show these are all the policies that have been approved in the past in our former policy book, which is still active because it's not been retired. And to show what Neola policy covers that specific policy. And so you can see through that sometimes they're covered just by one, but sometimes there's kind of multiple policies that cover them with the same language. I didn't find any policy that was any sort of like starkly different because when we were creating the Neola policies, we did refer back to our policy handbook to make sure that that language matched. You'll notice that some of the policies are not relevant or representative in the Neola policy handbooks, but when I look at some of the other schools that also use Neola, some schools also use what Neola has administrative guidelines, and I have found all of those in like an administrative guideline. And so options that the board has is to either take any of those that weren't representative in Neola already, and we can create that into a policy in Neola that we would write, and it wouldn't necessarily be backed by Neola because they have it more of as an administrative guideline, but we can decide that it's a policy for us. Or we could maintain a board policy or a procedure book, basically, that's just more of an administrative guidelines, board administrative guidelines that goes alongside our Neola policies. So those are kind of two options that we have to capture any of those that aren't covered by the ones we've already approved.
And so if we went the policy route through Neola, then we would send them the policy and see if they would be comfortable on that policy.
Yeah, we would send all those to them and ask them to include them in our policy book. They could say, no, this is more of an administrative guideline, it's not a policy for us. We could still say, well, I mean, we have access to write it in and include it in our book. But yeah, it might not have that legal backing that Neola's team would have.
So it looks like we will probably be having some administrative guidelines based on the number of these.
Yeah, and it's pretty common to have some there's sometimes some things that are not necessarily a board policy, but it's like, hey, this is the way we're gonna do things. There's no law tied to it. There's no, directive across how, but this is our standard operating procedure, and we want to make sure that it's kind of written down so that it's not necessarily people driven in the future, and it's what we want it to be. And so, yeah, there's lots of, and those are kinds of things we might see put together in like an employee handbook eventually, or just an operating handbook of some kind. But certainly, definitely think that it's appropriate to have like a board procedure book, handbook.
And over the next month, we need to see if specifically any of these we want to keep included in our policies. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So at some point when we decide that we've covered all of these, whether it's to create a procedure handbook or put them in policy, we'll want to put on the agenda a vote to retire the old policy book. Any other thoughts? Feedback?
Kind of sad to see him go, to be honest with you. Thank you.
How would you like me to proceed?
I don't know. I think a lot of these you've got like recommendations if it's administrative, or I think we just go through them and ask any questions if we need to.
So in December, we should be ready to move to decide if there's any we want to include in our policies or if we're looking at it.
Okay. So between now and December, you can let me know if it's something you want, move to a policy that doesn't mark that way. Otherwise, what I'll kind of prepare for December is a retiring of the policy book and a procedure handbook for you to approve.
Sounds great.
Okay. Okay. Second on policies tonight is you do have a first read on the district-owned physical property policy. Again, just as we've done the others, this is a first read over the course of the month. You can read the policy, have conversations about it, and then next month we'll do a second read, and you can decide to vote on that in the same month as the second read.
Thank you. So we are on to personnel.
All right, so I'm going to ask the board to consider changing our administrative assistant for a director of special services from a full-time position of a 40-hour, 240-day schedule to a 20-hour, 240-day effective January 6th of 2025.
Looking for a motion to approve this change.
I make a motion to make that change.
Second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on this? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
So this next one looks lengthy, but what happens is that there's times that teachers take a leave and we need a sub. We do have some folks who work for us as assistants that may have a teaching license or may fill the qualifications to sub in that situation. And so they're helping us out. What ends up happening is they get shorted on their pay based on if they're working as a substitute teacher, they make the substitute pay. But then they don't get paid for holidays, things of this nature when they're on that schedule. What we're asking the board considers having a daily stipend of $50 for instructional assistants when they're filling these roles for us.
And that's above their regular pay then.
Yes.
Their regular pay won't be influenced. They'll get the regular pay, and then on those days they get the $50 stipend.
Correct.
Well, I move to approve that change.
I'll second it. I do too.
What is the current substitute pay? If they don't have a teacher's license, it's $80. If they have a teacher's license, it's $95 a day.
Do most of our instructional aides have? They do not.
Any discussion on this? We have a motion and a second
One item of discussion is we definitely want to make this retroactive.
for this school year.
For this school year.
We've had several of
We've
those
had-
instances.
We've had one that caused a problem for our personnel that we feel like we want to make right.
So the motion is effective the beginning of this school year, to approve the change effective the beginning of the school year. Any other discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Professional leave.
All right, Darren Kessler and Sean Fisher, they, participated in Indiana School Safety Specialist training in October. Our finance here from the central office will be doing a virtual PD November 12th with the funds coming out of operations fund. At this time, Ms. Kester, from South Terrace is looking to join the High Ability Grant, our High Ability Conference, in Indianapolis, which will be paid from the High Ability Grant. And then, Ben Walden will be attending in January 16th and 17th, the IMEA conference in Fort Wayne, which would come out of Title II conference.
For a motion to approve the professional leave.
I'll make a motion that we approve professional leave.
I'll second it.
Discussion on these.
What is IMEA?
It's a great,
Is it a music?
Indiana Music Education Association. I have no idea if that's accurate. And what is Title II? Title II is a federal grant. So we get Title I, which is more for low-income, academic need, high-need students. Title II is directly for professional development. We usually get approximately $30,000 a year for Title II, and we have 2 years to spend it. And then Title III is for like language learning. Title IV is for high-risk students. So this is just a federal grant.
It's just one of the
titles.
And the Title II grant is paying for his.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Reports and information.
We just have our Indiana School Board Association fall meeting this coming Thursday.
We know what time we're gonna.
I figure Greg there usually hits that up, doesn't he?
He does.
I already have it in my calendar.
Have to make sure the van's gas. And there.
It's in Jasper.
$3:30
From here?
from here.
What time does it start? 6?
It starts at 5:30 their time, I believe. No,
So like
5 o'clock
5:30
our
our
time.
time.
5 o'clock our time?
The registration and then the rest of it actually starts at 5:30 our time.
Okay. So central office at 3:30 on Thursday.
And then we had the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, they approved our compliance plan.
I saw that. That was quite the listing of activities that has to be completed. It's not a long timeline though. I mean, lots of red tape.
I think depending on how the funding comes down from the state, it will all change, so.
Of course it will. Thank you for your work on that.
Yeah, for the better.
So our next regular board meeting is Monday, December 9th. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
You're adjourned.